Okay, now we will move to talk about, of course, the long-run aggregate supply curve. Of course, here in this, we're going to discuss the long-run aggregate supply. We're going to draw the aggregate supply, the long-run aggregate supply curve, and we're going to, differentiate between short-run equilibrium and long-run equilibrium. Of course, remember that when we discussed the short-run aggregate supply curve, we said that economists have suggested two conditions or two explanations, for the why the short-run aggregate supply is upward sloping. And we said that one explanation for that was, due to the sticky wages, of course, because usually management and labor force, sign labor contracts that last for, 1 or 2 or 5 years. And then, therefore, during that period of time, the wages will be sticky. And the other, of course, explanation is that workers' misperception about real wage changes. Okay, so when either of these conditions hold, then we are in short-run equilibrium. Okay, so remember that we are in short-run equilibrium when either of these explanations or conditions holds. What are those explanations? Sticky wages, and workers' misperception about real wage changes. Now, whenever either of these do not hold, then we will move to long-run equilibrium. So, long-run equilibrium will take place when these two conditions do not hold. So when sticky wages become unstuck because labor contracts between management and labor force expired, or when the workers' misperception about real wage changes become of course or turn to become accurate perception. Okay, then when these take place, of course, that is wages become unstuck, or we don't workers perceive accurately the real wage changes, then we reach long-run equilibrium. Long-run equilibrium, of course, long-run equilibrium is at the intersection of aggregate demand and the long run aggregate supply curve. Long run aggregate supply curve. Of course, the aggregate supply that establishes the equilibrium that the economy produces in the long run is called long run aggregate supply curve. So the aggregate supply that establishes the output that the economy produces in the long run is called the long run aggregate supply curve. Long run aggregate supply curve. It is graphically drawn as a vertical line. It is graphically drawn as a vertical line. Of course, it's a vertical line, just as like this. This is price level, this is real GDP, and this is long run aggregate supply curve. As you can see, long run aggregate supply. Of course, the level of output that the economy produces in the long run is the full employment output or the natural GDP. So the level of output that the economy produces in the long run is the full employment output, is the natural GDP or potential output. We're going to write QN. It stands for natural GDP or potential output or full employment output. Okay? So actually, this is the level of output that is the economy produces in the long run, Q1. Okay? Now, the long run equilibrium is at the intersection of aggregate demand and long run aggregate supply. Remember here, the long run equilibrium is at the intersection of aggregate demand and long run aggregate supply. Okay, aggregate demand and long run aggregate supply. As you can see here, this is price level and this is real GDP. This is aggregate demand, and this is long run aggregate supply. This is Q1. So the level of output that the economy produces in the long run is the national GDP, as you can see. And this is over here, the intersection between long run aggregate supply and aggregate demand will give us the long run equilibrium. So here, the economy is here. The economy is here. The economy is here at point A. This is long run equilibrium. What about the short run equilibrium? Okay, the short run equilibrium is taking place, or is achieved, or is attained at the intersection between aggregate demand and short run aggregate supply. As you can see, this is price level, this is real GDP, and this is here aggregate demand, and this is short run aggregate supply, and this is Q A, this is point A over here. Okay, so the quantity that is produced by the economy in the short run is, at the intersection of short run aggregate supply, which is the upward sloping, and the aggregate demand, which is downward sloping. It is at point A. Now, of course, the quantity supplied is equal to the quantity demanded in both the short run and the long run. In the short run, the quantity supplied here, in the short run, the quantity supplied remember here, in the short run, equilibrium and long run equilibrium quantity supplied of real GDP equal quantity demanded of real GDP. Over here, in the short run, quantity supplied equal quantity demanded at the point of equilibrium, the equilibrium point, and it's equal here, a quantity supplied equal quantity demanded equal QA. Okay? Over here, quantity supplied in the long run quantity supplied of real GDP equal quantity demanded of real GDP, and is equal QM. So what is the difference between the short run equilibrium and long run equilibrium? Of course, difference is that in the short run, the quantity supplied equal quantity demand, but that output, okay, QA is either greater than or less than the QM. Okay, let me look at these two graphs. This is over here This is price level. This is Q, the real GDP, okay, output. This is over here, aggregate demand. This is short run, aggregate supply. And this is what you get here, long run, aggregate supply. And this is QM. And this is over here, QA. Here, the economy is in short-term equilibrium over here at point A. But as you can see, the short-term equilibrium at point A, of course, the level of output is QA. Okay, the equilibrium level of output is QA, and it is less than QM, less than the natural GDP. The natural GDP. What about this here? This is aggregate demand. This is short run aggregate supply, of course, and this is here long run aggregate supply, and this is QN over here, and this is over here QA. This is point A over here. Okay, as you can see, the economy is over here. Here, the short-run equilibrium level of output is QA, which is greater than the natural GDP. Here, the level of output in the short run is QA, which is less than QN, which is the natural GDP. Over here, the level of output in the short run, the equilibrium level of output in short run is QA, which is greater than the natural GDP. However, the long run equilibrium, of course, as I said, is attained the level of output or the quantity supplied of free GDP in the long run. The quantity supplied of free GDP is equal to the quantity demand free GDP, and both are equal to the natural GDP. Okay, to the natural real GDP, as you can see over here. This is the price level. This is, Q, the real GDP, and this is what you get, aggregate demand. And this is here, long run aggregate supply, and this is QM. Over here, quantity supply equal quantity demanded is equal QM. However, over here, quantity supplied equal quantity demanded equal QA, okay, equal QA, and that is what? Less than QM. Over here, quantity supplied of free GDP, quantity supplied of free GDP is equal quantity demanded of free GDP, of course, and this one what is greater than QM. This is what you see over here. Okay, so of course this is the graphs regarding the short-run equilibrium and long-run equilibrium. Short-run equilibrium and long-run equilibrium. So we should understand that to move from the short run to the long run, we make sure that the two conditions, must not hold in the long run. That is, sticky wages and worker misperception about changes in real wage these in the long run do not hold. So when do not hold, we we are in long run equilibrium, and in the long run, of course, the economy will produce natural GDP. And as you can see, these are the cases that you will see when in the short term, of course, the quantity of output that the economy produces may be could be greater than the long run equilibrium, which is natural GDP, or could be smaller. However, in the long run, the quantity supplied of free GDP is equal to the quantity demand of free GDP, and both are equal to the natural GDP, which is Qn.